Okay, thank you so much for being patient with us and sticking with us to the end of this concert. I know it's an ambitious concert that we're putting on here tonight, and I have to admit right now I'm really excited for this set list with this band because this is probably one of the most challenging sets of music that we've ever put in front of these kids, and they've been eating it up all semester. So I'm really, really proud of them. I'm really excited for you to get to hear them. I was asked before we start that there's still the bidding on the silent auction is still going. Apparently that there might be a bidding war going back there, so you might want to go check things out. And we're going to close that after the second song of the high school group. So without further ado, this is the high school concert. Thank you so very much. That was a piece called Arabian Dances by Brian Balmages. And that featured, as you heard, Autumn Banfield on flute, Grant Perry on piccolo, Allison Aguaya on oboe, and many of our percussionists back here and up front here. It's a really fun piece to play. It's one we took to our festival this year, and we had a lot of fun with it. So, moving on to our next piece, I have to talk a little bit about this because percussion has to reset. And there's a whole story behind it. So, don't hold it against me, but I graduated from East Central. And East Central's fight song is by John Philip Sousa, Stars Twice Forever. My band director was obsessed with John Philip Sousa. We played Sousa marches way too much, and it burned me out. So I made it a point, I'm not going to play Sousa marches. I'm just not going to do it. Not going to do it. And then we got a tuba player back here by the name of Aiden Hood, who is one of our seniors, as well as one of our All-Staters this year. Stand up. And as a tuba player, and as a musician in general, Aiden just loves Sousa, which I don't blame him, and begged and begged and begged for me to pick a Sousa piece for us to play. So, in searching all of his marches and all the things that I had trauma about in high school, I found a piece that I had not actually heard performed before, and it's the one kind of rare time that Sousa did a march that was a ragtime. And so this is a lot of fun. This piece is called With Pleasure or Dance Hilarious, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So those first two tunes were pieces that we took to our festival, and they were pieces that we received a one at the Tulsa Public Schools Festival. And these next three tunes are tunes that we worked at starting, well, I guess we kind of worked on this one before. Yeah, in January. Some of them we worked on a little bit later than that too. And when I say just how proud I am of these kids for taking on these pieces and the musicality that they're playing with in these next three pieces, I'm astounded, and I wanted to just thank them for such a great concert. I'm really excited for these next three tunes. So this next one is called Hypnotic Memories. Every year I do try to find a piece that is a little bit of an odd meter piece, and this one is in 7 for a good portion of it. It's going to feature several people around the band, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, we've come to the portion where we've got a couple of quick announcements before we play our last two tunes. So a new tradition we're trying out starting this year. We had some. We want to try to honor our seniors at our concert this year, and one of the things that was brought up by some other seniors was some schools that have chords for their graduating class for being in the band program for 4 years. And so this year we're going to honor our seniors. So when I call your name, I have to pull out this. I know I have some that may not be here, and that's okay. But Fernando and I, please come forward. I don't know if Sophie Brennan's here. Is Sophie here? I don't know if she's hearing that or not. Okay. Aiden Hood. Naomi Howard Robinson. Max Moreno. I have to talk about Max real quick because Max makes me feel really old because Max, my second year of teaching, I had Max as a kindergartner. And now Max is graduating, and yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Timothy Moss. And Boston. Again, I recognize the few that made it to honor groups this year. I've already mentioned it, but Aiden Hood making the all-state band this year. Aiden, stand up. Aiden, stand up. If you made the GCBDA honor band, please stand up. And here we go. And if you made the TPS honor band, please stand up. Before we play our last two pieces, I do want to give a couple of thanks. I want to thank our administration, Mr. Maxiner, our principal, and our assistant principals, Mrs. McEnany, Mrs. Connolly, Mrs. Wadoff, Mrs. Johnson, and all the other people in our school that support us so much. We have a great administration here that is very pro-fine arts, and it shows in everything that we do here. So I just want to give a big shout out to them. I also want to thank Alex Kitchens, who's our fine arts coordinator for the district. She's, again, extremely supportive of us. And our school board member, Mr. John Cresson, right up here as well. And I couldn't do this without my team. I want to thank Mrs. McAllister down here. She is the reason why we have all these kids on stage. Mr. Haley back here holding the percussion down, as well as Mrs. Myers and Mrs. Kubiak, who are in charge of our guard. Oh yeah, I was told to mention we do have a band banquet that the high school and anyone who participated in marching band have at the end of year awards banquet. That is May 17th at 2 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong. We good? Yep. Yeah. Here in the middle school cafeteria, it's also the day that we reveal what our marching show is, and a whole bunch of other wonderful things that happen. So if you can make that, I believe there will be a reservation thing online to get an idea of how many people are going to be coming to that pretty soon. So, without further ado, This next piece, every year I've in the past done a piece that has been like a movie song or something kind of programmatic, and this year we haven't done that. This is the closest that we have to that, and every year as well we also end up doing a composer like 3 or 4 times. And so Gerard Hall is a new composer to the scene, and he does some really interesting pieces. He did that Rumba de la Tumba that I conducted with the Advanced Middle School, and this piece, which is called Knockout. And so Knockout, the way the title kind of infers, is supposed to sound very Rocky-esque. You're going to hear those Rocky fanfares in there. You're also going to hear at some point what sounds like a boxing match happen up here. It's a really, really cool piece. It's going to feature, again, some other people. It also features our saxophone section. Not very often do saxophones get to sound like saxophones in concert band, and in this piece they get to sound like saxophones. So this is Knockout, Gerard Hall. last piece. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming out and sticking with us and being patient with us. I really do want to thank our family and our parents for getting these kids. This year is the first year that we did early morning all year round, and I think you can see it's paid off big time. They are playing music that college bands would be playing. Sometimes college bands would be struggling with. So I'm really, really proud of them. And so we're going to end tonight on a piece called Chorale and Shaker Dance by John Zudeklik. I had to look up how to pronounce his name, Zudeklik. This is a piece. Oh, you have him here, sorry. 1 second. Sorry about that. This is a piece every year I do try to give the kids a piece, what I call my mountaintop piece, which is a piece that I think is really challenging, that I want them to experience, because this is also a piece that's kind of considered a band standard. There we go. These kids again took this piece, this incredibly hard piece, and have knocked it out of the park. This is one of the hardest pieces I've ever conducted in my entire life. It is a really great piece. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's called Chorale and Shaker Dance.